that people of the Christian faith basically do not understand and judge to be evil. And it was a culmination of all of those things. And my children were taken out of my custody, not because I hurt them, because I never well, some things that I learned from this. I have a guide. We all have guides, and I was not always in communication with my guide during my life, but about 8 years ago, I had is outside of God. And no, there isn't. So, what does that mean about you? What does it mean about you? What does it mean about me? The truth is you are perfect. up and tried to eat some more food, but it kept making me sick. And then finally I realized, oh my gosh, you gotta be careful what you create. And I did some magic too. that's how you grow. And part of that is also to feel the ultimate anger and the ultimate negativity, because then you can take what you've learned and you can decide to abuse it. Or you can decide to control it. And I had passed that. Barely passed that test. But I did. And it didn't come to my understanding until after it was all over. I know that my guide could have told me all this while it was going on, but if he had told me this, it would have influenced my choices, and it wouldn't have come from me. But
in Buddhist scriptures, there are many kinds of Buddhas. They are like Gospels in the Bible, because there are many stories about them. And they have a different name or different state of Buddhas, like Pratyek Buddhas, individual or collectively Buddhas, is a different kind of. First of all, you have to understand what is Buddha means. Buddha, it is a Buddha actually. Buddha means a person who attained the ultimate knowledge. A person who knows everything. Our person's soul is awakened. That is called Buddha. In Buddhist text, the Gautam Siddhartha was the first one in the real text. But later on, many texts, many scriptures were written. They went too far to mention many Buddhas. But yes, Gautam Siddhartha became Buddha and awakened him. But there are few acharyas in Buddhist, they seem to be like Buddha, like Acharya Sangha. A Sangha was known that he attained the Buddhahood, and he used to laugh all the time. Someone asked him that we heard that you attained Buddhahood. What did you attain? And he laughed. He said, we are asking you humbly, can you please explain us? What did you achieve? We heard about that you are Buddha. And he laughed, and he laughed, and he laughed. He said, just enough now. Can you really seriously tell us? What did you find? And he explained that why I am laughing? Because I am laughing. That whatever I achieved, it was always with me. That knowledge was always with me. It was not separate from me. It is the soul is knowledge. But I was ignorant that I couldn't see it. The diamond was in my hand and I couldn't see it. That's why I laugh. That after I put so many efforts for so many years and I achieved what I already had it. That's what it makes me laugh. Like Acharya Asanga, Lokiteshwar, this kind of name I mention in Buddhist scriptures, they seems to have that they have attained some kind of Buddhahood, awakening. It doesn't mean it is 100%. But yes, it mentioned in the scriptures. The Buddhahood means the person who is fully awakened. And the person who is fully awakened will not be in the cycle of birth and death according to Buddhist texts. But if someone is still wandering in the circle of death and life, it means it is not awakened one yet. The person who is awakened one, that is their last life, and they never come back in the cycle again. They are out of cycle. The cycle of birth and death, suffering, misery, that is called cycle. And they are out of it. So if you consider they are out of it, according to Buddhist texts, what they mention, they think the Lokiteshwar is still here, Buddha is still here. So what does it mean? It means when they are still here, and even Buddha refused to enter into the kingdom of God, what does it mean? It means it is a nice way to say that he didn't attain the ultimate knowledge. He is still with us. But it is a nice way to say that he refused it. Yes, if someone attained Buddhahood, that is their last life, and physically they never will be born again. Not like angelic body or human body or animal body. They will just merge. They will just disappear in this cosmos, in this universe, and that soul will be fully in bliss and ecstasy. That's what it's supposed to be. The real Buddha is very difficult to find. Awakened. Once it is awakened, doesn't go back into the cycle. But whatever we read all these stories in Buddhist scriptures, it seems like they come back. If they come back, it means they are in the cycle. Once you are out of cycle, you went beyond suffering, misery, dukkha, sukha, happiness, unhappiness. Everything you gone beyond. So, if people these days consider that Dalai Lama is a Buddha, many Westerners, not in India, Indians, they don't think that Dalai Lama is a Buddha. But many Western countries, many Western students, they think that Dalai Lama is Buddha. Let me tell you first thing. If someone is Buddha and awakened one, they will eat just to live, to survive, because it is their last body. They are not going to come back again in this world, in this universe, in the cycle of birth and death and suffering and miseries. So first thing they will stop if they attain the ultimate knowledge, or what we call it Buddhahood, or we call it awakened one. First thing they will stop eating meat. Now you can judge by yourself if Dalai Lama was, since he was considered a Buddha, was he vegetarian? Because Buddha, the Gautama Siddhartha, he never ate meat after he attained ultimate knowledge, according to Buddhist text. Before, whatever he did, but after that, he never did it. Because awakened one, they consider all the souls are like us. They feel pain. They feel dukkha and sukha, unhappiness, happiness. You cannot kill them. Everyone wants to live. Nobody wants to die. So that's why Buddha awakened one, they will choose their food the least the mostly which is the living being, which is the lowest category of the living being. They don't have sensation, they don't have feelings, they don't have senses even. That is only vegetarian, that is only vegetation, fruits, vegetables, grains. They are one sense living being. They have just body. So the Buddha, even Buddha is that which stops all this and becomes vegetarian first. Even they don't even eat, they will eat very less. And even vegetarian, sometimes they don't need even food. That is the Buddha. Then you can judge yourself. If there were any Buddhas in the Buddhism, or there are Buddhas in Buddhism, you are the judge, not me.